Good evening from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your forecaster Jeff Monk looking at the planning outlook on the British mountains over the next few days, trying to concentrate on the weekdays next week. It's not a very easy forecast. We're going awry a little bit at the moment. We rely on forecast models run by the main centres at both sides of the Atlantic. And certainly through the early part of this week, a few days ago, they were suggesting a good ridge of high pressure across southern Britain, middle and later next week. Then the area of high pressure looks as if it was going to be just to the west, and the latest chart suggests it's barely going to be there at all. So it does look, but on balance we're looking at another mixed week. But I think one change from this week is that it will be less windy. We're not going to see anything like the amount of gales or near gales on higher summits, with a possible exception of northwest Scotland. But also we're going to see the driest conditions in the south. This week there's been rainfall across Britain, but overall it'll be a lot drier the further south you are next week. So I've got some charts, courtesy of weatherweb.net, most of them, to cover the next week period. So starting off the story on Monday, we're going to have an area of high pressure way to the east, which will have given a lovely day for most areas. On Monday, Wales will have slowly deteriorated though. By Monday, rain, shown by the various colours, the greens and the heavier rain, the yellows and the oranges, having reached Scotland and northern England. Probably not very much over northern England. What this chart doesn't show, though, importantly, is the level of low cloud. Very humid air will have come up and will have shrouded all the western mountain areas in low cloud. And as the day goes on and the rain extends northwards across Scotland, so low cloud will advance slowly north, although actually with a southerly wind direction, the northwest Highlands and the Cairngorms will be favoured throughout the day for the cloud base to lower only slowly. However, as I say, for many other areas, there will be a little bit of rain and drizzle from time to time, particularly around the Irish Sea, but it's the low cloud which is going to be the main feature of the day. So really quite wet weather likely across western Scotland as the day goes on. I just spoke about some uncertainty about the Northwest Highlands in terms of low cloud pushing northwards. Also the rain, that too may only edge northwards very slowly, and indeed up towards Sutherland it could stay dry all day. By Tuesday, the northern edge of that rain is still very close to northernmost Scotland, and if we haven't quite got the area of low pressure in the right place, it could even be that it's still dry in the far north on Tuesday. Broadly speaking, though, patchy rain and drizzle across the mountain areas, and again a lot of low cloud. A lot of low cloud shrouding the mountains of the Brecon Beacons up the west coast areas near the Irish Sea and up into southern Scotland, up into the southern Highlands, but again with a southeast or even easterly wind. The northwest Highlands are likely to fare best in terms of low cloud, with many of the summits either clear of cloud, of fog, or just for higher summits intermittently covered. Nevertheless, it does look as if the rain will tend to be concentrated across the Scottish Highlands, particularly the more western areas, with that caveat that it may do very little in the far north. If we go on toward midweek, we will still have low pressure out to the west, areas of rain and still extensive low cloud coming round the low, but as the low cloud moves, for example, eastwards off the Irish Sea, as you move eastwards across Wales, the cloud base is likely to rise, and it may well clear eastern areas of Black Mountains, the Berwyn Mountains completely, similarly the Peak District, and perhaps also East Cumbria, and further north the Cheviots and even the Cairngorms could well be largely free of cloud as the day goes on. Nevertheless, still rain here and there, probably most likely across Scotland, and as the day goes on, a scattering of perhaps quite heavy showers are likely to develop, generally away from the west coast. Moving on to Thursday, a little bit less confident, but it does look as if with low pressure close to the Northwest Highlands, by then it's the Northwest Highlands which will tend to see the concentration of rain and low cloud. It may be that particularly coastal mountains of the Northwest Highlands do see near gale force winds on Thursday, but I have to say there is a good deal of uncertainty, although by that time we do think there'll be high pressure to the south and low to the north. What is in question is just where the low will be and how deep it will be, therefore how many isobars will be around it, and in turn just how windy it will be across the Highlands. It may not be as windy as shown on this particular model. By the time we get to Friday and toward next weekend, well, to be honest, the confidence is so low that I'm not going to show you any further charts. Probably, broadly speaking, we will still have low pressure to the north and high to the south, so that later in the week and toward next weekend, most likely, the further south you are, particularly if you're inland away from Western Mountains, the more likely you are to have dry weather and cloud-free summits. As I say, a lot of question marks really about the precise detail. But overall, I do think it is a north-south split. This shows up in the final chart I've got, which is courtesy of meteorseal.fr. Let me just centre that chart. Total rainfall over the next 7 days. The oranges and reds are areas of very high rainfall, totals toward 100 millimetres, that's in old money as it were, 4 inches. So the West Highlands, southern part of the Northwest Highlands seeing considerable rainfall, and after all the rain that we've had this month so far, it will continue very wet underfoot in these areas. Somewhat less rainfall, around 15 millimetres typically as you go into eastern Scotland, but progressively lower rainfall as you move southwards into northern England and again across Wales. And indeed, it may well be that despite the areas of low cloud, that South and mid Wales only sees a few millimetres of rain in total. So conditions very much drier underfoot here. So some mixed conditions over the coming week, nevertheless some fine weather to be had.